Hi, you found Tarot Down Under. That's great. I'm looking forward to this reading today on Donald Trump Jr. It's hard to know where to start with this guy. As we know, he's never done an honest day's work in his life, and he shoots tigers and elephants that have been sedated so he can't miss, and calls that sport. So I'd like to take a look at this guy. A friend of mine said recently, he's just got one of those faces you'd never get tired of slapping. And I have to say, I'm not a violent person, but I couldn't agree more. It's just something about that spoiled punce look, isn't it? I mean, it's symptomatic of having grown up with a gold toothbrush in his mouth. So I'm going to launch straight into the reading now. So what's going on with Donald Trump Jr., particularly in relation to the Mueller investigation? So Donald Trump Jr. and Mueller. Donald Trump Jr. Donald Trump Jr. and Mueller. Donald Trump Jr. and Mueller. This is becoming a habit. This card is a centerpiece for the Trumps. So you'd have to say cosmically, politically, socially, in every way, the whole family's in bad shape, but this is his key card. He should be worried, very worried. I'm not sure he's bright enough to be that worried, but we'll see. Okay. The card of the martyr. He thinks he's a really hard-working person, that he's been really hard done by the media, and he doesn't get it. You know, he hasn't got the smarts. He keeps going on Twitter and saying these naive and clunky things, and then he gets eaten alive by Twitterverse. So in his tiny little brain, he sees himself as the hard-working martyr. This card, Pentacles card, meaning money. So it's looking at the harvest is the traditional meaning, appraising what's there and what needs to be got. And he's looking in a way at what he's accumulated, not what he's achieved, what he's accumulated, and going, oh, is it enough? Is it enough? I need more. Very greedy, greedy man's delusion that he's done it through hard work. What's the root of this reading? Oh, this could well be Papa, the King of Wands. So in a positive context, someone who looks after other people, who fights for other people, who fights for justice and has lots of energy. But because it's directly underlying this card of swords, the Nine of Swords, it's more likely to be the card of exaggerated ideas. In his recent past, the relationship. This card is called in tarot the Apprentice, so I do find that amusing. I think this is the universe's little joke when it comes up in Trump readings, the Apprentice card. But in his past, he has been an apprentice to a truly not only delusional, narcissistic, sociopath father, but he has molded himself in that image. So what is on top of his reading? The High Priestess. Deep secrets, deep hidden knowledge. So he knows all the stuff that went down because he was part of it, but the deep stuff that is going to impact on his life from this point. So although this traditionally gets construed as the battle against good and evil, I don't know if he can make that distinction. This is a family that's not known for its morality. So we'll see how that fits into the overall picture. Oh, I'm so sorry. There we go. Now, coming up shortly for him, more of the same. The greedy man's card. The King of Pentacles. This is his ambition. This is where he wants to go. And if you look at this card, there's a bit of a glare on that. This is someone who has enormous riches, not only in terms of money, but also in terms of jewelry, castles, meaning palatial houses, everything that money can buy. The card of the greedy man. So how does he see himself? Oh, he thinks it's going to be all right, so that's cool. So this is 3 women celebrating traditionally. Now, in the context of a reading for a man, this could be 3 women in his life who are celebrating what he represents, greed, and like it that way. So that could be his wife and his daughter, or his mother and his wife and a sister perhaps. So even though it's in the position of how he sees himself, I think that could be interpreted as how he sees himself in the eyes of these women. So they see him as a great success, a chip off the old block. So the influence on that, the Page of Pentacles. So he, again, a bit like the Apprentice card, he's the younger version of his father. So he is talking up money. He's making his way in the world via money. Traditionally, the Pentacles also represent talent. I don't know how much talent he has in any field, really, but certainly he's looking adoringly at the money. So the environment of what's going on for him, oh, there's a surprise, money. What is it with this family? You know, I'd love to see them on food stamps for a month and see how they go. The hand of God reaching out, holding the Pentacles. But there is an illusory factor to this card as well, as the Grey Clouds suggest. It's also been called the card of Fool's Gold. So if you look at his aspirational greediness, he's got plenty of money, but it's fool's gold. Also, as I've said in other readings, this is repeating the same experience and not quite learning from it. So what's coming up in the immediate outcome? Page of Cups. So in a way, it's the twin of the Page of Pentacles. So this is his emotional world, which you could, at my most kind, I would say he's deluding himself. So he could be deluding others, but I don't know if he's got time, because deluding himself is actually a full-time job. So what's coming up in future outcomes? Conflict. He sees himself as fighting everybody, fighting the good fight. He alone, standing on the mountaintop, fending off those nasty, nasty journalists, those nasty lawyers who want to bring him down. So he sees himself as a figure of righteousness fighting out there. Further out, the Queen of Swords. Now, I wonder who the Queen of Swords is in relation to Donald Jr. So, given that the swords are about justice and intellect and pushing through for righteousness, it might be a woman who is actually going to bring him undone. In other words, it might be the testimony of one of the women who have been interviewed in the Mueller investigation, just part of this overview, who actually bring things around. If you look, the trees are blowing here, there's a storm brewing. It might even be Rona Graff, because it's an older woman, who was Trump's assistant. And those of you who have been following this circus may remember that when the email exchange was released, where he invited the Russians to give him dirt on Clinton, one of the emails said, "Give it to Rona, she'll sort it out." So Rona Graff, who none of us had heard of until that revelation, has turned out to work for Trump for decades. She's old school, she keeps her mouth shut, but she has been interviewed by the Mueller investigation, and they have a way, let's face it. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's Rona Graff who's actually put the nail in. Oh, Dad. In terms of deep influences, the King of Cups, his father. Now, the King of Cups, if it was a more positive person than his father, Donald Trump, provides emotional security. The cups are about emotion. But in the case of the King of Cups in this reading, it was always about him. So when there were babies, toddlers, kids, teenagers, it was only ever about the father. Here, next, in terms of outcome, we have the Lovers. Now, traditionally, if you're reading for normal people, the Lovers obviously is about romance, and it could be in this case. But particularly after the Queen of Swords, it can also be just a very close relationship. It might be his relationship with Rona Graff, in the sense that he's known her since he was a teenager and was very close to her. But what's interesting about this card in many readings is this rather sort of peculiar angel figure. So whereas angels traditionally represent protection and so forth, there's a slightly weird edge to this angel, and in more modern interpretations, it's been construed as surveillance. So this card could be read as the surveillance is picked up on Donald Jr. and another woman. Is he having an affair? Is this Donald and his wife, is she also involved in some nefarious dealings? So it might not be Rona Graff, it might be his wife, or literally a lover. The sun. The light is being shone on this family. They're not going to be able to keep on running, right? So, although you could say they've had the sun beaming on them for many years to acquire this wealth by treading on other people and so forth, it is now a blinding sun that is acting on them. Uh-oh. He shares this with his sister, a pierced heart, look out. And the Ace of Cups. The Ace of Cups, I do hope you can see this imagery. So the Ace of Cups is one of those cards that is quintessential, emotional, and in a way, what I love about the way this particular card is drawn, it can be read as an abundance of emotional wonders, but there's also this rather demonic bird coming in. Remember Alfred Hitchcock, The Birds, coming in and plunging into the chalice. So let's see what happens in the future as it plays out for Donald Trump Jr. Thank you for joining me in this reading, and I will see you next time. Bye.